Hello, this is MavJP from BMS, and in this video I will showcase the basket refueling, trying to give you some tips about it. And well, it's not more difficult than the traditional boom refueling. It is just completely different. In the boom refueling, we request the pilot to keep static position, whereas in the basket refuel, the whole trick is to keep a constant trajectory and speed. It's very important to understand that difference. There are three tips for basket refuel. The first one is never look at the basket. The second one is never look at the basket. And the third one is never look at the basket. So I hope you understand you don't have to look at the basket. You have to take a reference, and generally I take the pod. You take that reference and you don't look the basket. You take the reference and you will see that your eye will automatically see if you are in the right trajectory. The second tip is you have to keep constant speed. If you stop during the approach, it's not a big deal if you're far from the basket, but if you stop close to the basket, then forget about it. If you start chasing the basket, you will maybe connect, but at the end you will not have a stable position and you will be unable to keep the position. So the trick is, don't chase the basket, take a reference in the pod and approach at a slow speed but constant speed. Maybe in the last few meters you can adjust a little bit to get right into the basket, but that's all. Don't chase, don't put don't input big movements on the stick, because if you do that just to catch the basket, you will be unable to keep the position and push forward to get the fuel flowing. So that's fundamental difference. I advise you to start with the Mirage 2000 because it's much more stable than the F18, so it will be easier to operate and to learn with the Mirage 2000. So let's try. Alors, in BMS we don't have any helper, and there is no magic magnet or stuff like that as it can be in other sims.
Trojan
So you
2-1, Jumbo 7-1, cleared to pre-contact position.
You really have to get into the basket. So here, I don't know much this aircraft.
Trojan 2-1, Jumbo 7-1, cleared to contact position.
So I don't have the right reference, but I will just try to keep a constant approach trajectory. I'm not looking at the basket right now, I'm looking at the pod, and my peripheral vision sees the basket. And here I try to chase it at the last in the last few meters, so that's bad. That's because my approach was not stabilized enough, and that was not good. So here,
Contact.
you know, I chased it a little bit, so it's not very good. As I said,
return to pre-contact position.
As I said, I chased it, and so that was not a stable approach, and at the end I wasn't able to refuel. But then it's a good opportunity for me to showcase a feature. So here I push the basket too much, so I have a disconnection, and I have to ask for back in pre-contact position so that the
Jumbo 7-1, Trojan 2-1, stabilized and ready.
Will deploy
Roger.
The drogue again. So let's do it in a more
contact.
Voilà. So now the trick is to push the basket in between the two red markers to get the fuel flowing, and when it is done
1,000.
you have the light on the pod that turns green, which means the fuel is flowing. If I push too much, the amber will start to flash. That will say that the fuel is not flowing anymore. So, and I'm not in a good position. So I'm coming back in the green position, so the fuel is flowing. So the trick is to keep position, to be relaxed as usual with air-to-air refuel operations. And here I'm in a perfect position, stable position.
3,000.
So you can disconnect, of course, by pulling back.
Disconnect.
In that case, you will be able to reconnect without calling the tanker again. If the refueling light of the pod is amber, that means that it's clear for a refuel. If it's red, it means that it's not ready. So here it's amber. So let's try to reconnect. Oops. So in that case, don't change the basket. Come back into position and then stabilize, and another forward constant speed and trajectory is needed. I wanted to show you something, but I missed.
Contact. $4,000.
Well, here the lights are off, which means I'm
Disconnect.
through, and I'm coming back. As usual, when you've completed your fuel, you call done refueling.
Jumbo 7-1. Trojan 2-1. Topped off and ready to go. Roger.
And as there is nobody else in the queue, the tanker should retract the drogue. Let's see. Yeah. And as you can see, the pod light has turned red, which means the drogue is not available. Thank you very much, Mr. Tanker. Just want to watch the retraction.
Jumbo 7-1. Trojan 2-1. Request clearance to refuel. Trojan 2-1. Jumbo 7-1. You are number 1 to refuel.
So the pod is red, so it's not ready.
Trojan 2-1. Jumbo 7-1. Cleared
Yeah.
to pre-contact position.
Pod is amber, so I can
Trojan
try to
2-1. Jumbo 7-1. Cleared to contact position.
So I wanted to show you something. If you hit the if you hit the basket from the side, don't panic. You see, it's exactly what you should not do. It means trying to chase the basket. It's extremely difficult and actually impossible to catch it. But I don't want to catch it. I want to show you something. I can't. Shit. Okay, another attempt. This time trying to catch it. So take a constant forward speed. I take the pod as a reference. I'm not looking at the basket at the moment. I'm just looking at the pod, trying to have a stable approach. Now my peripheral vision tells me that I'm a little bit too high compared to basket, so I don't look at the basket, but I adjust. And I'm done.
Contact.
That's it.
Disconnect.